A couple of generations, the women almost have no rights at home. And we're actually marrying them into slavery to the in-laws. I'm just going to say it like it is. There are cases of psychological abuse that are far worse than any kind of physical abuse that are happening in, what was supposed to be originally a big happy family, the joint family system, but has now turned into literally psychological torture for these poor women who marry into these homes, and their lives are just given into serving whoever, and they're actually forced, in many cases that I personally know of, they are forced to go to work, and not a penny of what they earn they get to see themselves. And they are trapped in that situation because they feel that if they ask for anything, then they're going to, what they do? The in-laws, they call her parents and say, what kind of daughter did you raise? Right? And so she doesn't want to hear it from her own parents because she doesn't want her sorrow to extend to her original family. So she just bears with it and she puts up with it and she continues to play along. And this kind of insanity needs to stop.
And when we say forgive, we don't mean don't do something about it. Because sometimes your mother oppresses your wife. And it's happening in many homes. I used to think it's declining, but in actual fact, it's increasing. How dare we have a daughter-in-law in the house and we really think she is just a maid without a salary. She must wake up at this time, we must give her an instruction, we'll never praise what she does, and we must keep on treating her like she's just a maid and a slave. Do you really think Allah created a female in order to just get up and serve the mother-in-law or the father-in-law? Do you really think that was the reason of creation? I challenge all the mothers-in-law and fathers-in-law to appreciate what their daughters-in-law or sons-in-law do for them. Show that appreciation. Talk about it. Use your tongue to say it. It will bear witness for you on the day of judgment. They do a lot. So what? They are tired. They may not get up when you want them to get up because they are tired. They are ill. They may be sick. They may have children to look after. You don't even know. And you're holding it, and you expect to be forgiven. You expect to be forgiven. How? Forgive them, but deal with it. Say, look, my beloved mother, I love you. We have forgiven your shortcomings. But I wouldn't like this to repeat itself again. You have to speak. I know of men who think it is virtuous to be silent and to watch your mother bulldoze through the whole house and destroy every relation and break every rule of Islam. But no, that's my mother. I cannot talk. Says who? Says who? Which verse of the Qur'an says do not swear meaning do not stop someone who is swearing? Which verse of the Qur'an says you must allow your parents to oppress everyone and anyone under your guardianship? Your wife is under your guardianship. Be careful. Deal with it kindly. You have been asked to be kind because you have to say it. You are the guardian of your spouse. You have to say it, whether you like it or not, whether she likes it or not, whether he likes it or not, whether anyone likes it or not. You have to say it.
So, out of frustration, sometimes you say things that are hard, harsh. You don't realize that's not your child, it's someone else's daughter, someone else's son. You've hurt them. When someone else hurts the child of another person, the hurt is deeper, the cut is deeper than if it was your own child. Remember that. Be careful. Now I'm addressing those who were hurt by what the elderly have said to you. Ignore it. Change the nappy and carry on. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. If you've understood what I've said. Let it happen. The next day they'll beg for forgiveness. They might carry. The difficulty is sometimes the elderly are stubborn. They don't ask for forgiveness. Come what may. They are wrong. We found out that they said 1 + 1 is 3 and the whole dunya knows it's 2. They won't apologize. 3. It's 3. I'm telling you it's 3. You say, no, but it's 2. Who said you can't subtract 1 from 3? So that's the type of answers you get. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us. These people are witty, they are sharp, they know. Sometimes they don't apologize. Because why? I'm an elderly person. Who are you that I must apologize to you? My beloved elderly, a lot of you are geniuses. You don't make those mistakes. But if you do, subhanallah, please apologize. Please apologize, learn to make amends. We don't want our children's marriages to break because we are putting pressure on our daughters-in-law or sons-in-law or anyone else. But something that happens when you get old and you are in pain, your level of tolerance becomes very, very less. The level is low, very low. Your fuse becomes 5 amps when it was 15 before. Any small thing and it's blown. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us.
Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu. You see the passage began, Ya ayyuhan nas. Remember that? All humanity. But Allah is saying all of humanity has disappointed me. So the responsibility falls on you. Let me teach you what you will do to appreciate Allah. Here's how you appreciate Allah. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu. Irka'u wasjudu. Make ruku', make sajda. What is both of these things referring to? Salat. The first act Allah teaches first He complained about humanity. You're not doing your job in appreciating me. You believers, it's your turn. You need to appreciate me. The first step in appreciating me will be salat. Where's your salat? How much we appreciate our salat is a good indication of how much we appreciate Allah. How active, how vigilant we are in getting up out of bed. How lazy we feel in making it to the masjid. How lazy we feel. How bored we are when the recitation is not entertaining enough. All of those are good indicators of where we stand before Allah Azza wa Jalla. Irka'u wasjudu. Make ruku' and make sajda. And irka'u wasjudu are parts of salat, but they're also attitudes. You know, somebody who doesn't know about prayer, doesn't know about the Muslim prayer. A non-Muslim guy walks by and he sees people making salat. He's going to notice these people are standing with their head down, holding their head. They're humble before somebody. Then they put their heads down like this halfway. Wow, they got even more humble. And when they got up, what happened next? Face on the ground, they got really humble. In other words, he's noticing that there's a progression in their humility to Allah, to whoever they're worshipping. They're getting even more and more and more subservient. This seems like they're appreciating their master, and they appreciated him more, and they appreciated him even more. The progression of salat itself teaches us that we're supposed to evolve, grow in our humility to Allah. That's a really important point, especially if it has to do with Islamic work. You know what happens with people when they get involved with Islamic work? I'm no exception. All of us can be victim to this. The more tenured, the more experienced you get in Islamic work, the more full of yourself you get. I know what this stuff is. You're a rookie. You're a newbie. I've been a board member at the masjid for 20 years. What do these guys know? You know? I ran the MSA 2 semesters in a row. When you get experience, and you don't get more humble, you get more arrogant. Because you know, in any other job, when you have more experience, you have more credentials, you have more respect, you have more appreciation, you're worth more. Right? Allah is teaching us the exact opposite attitude. The more you grow in deen, the more humble you should get. The more humble you should get. Subhanallah. And you'll notice, it's a good check. It's a good gauge. What was Iblis's problem? Adam alayhi salam, what's on his resume? How long he's been doing surah? What kind of experience he has? He gets a promotion over me. Now imagine you're a volunteer, you're helping out at the MSA at the college or at the Sunday school, you've been volunteering for 2-3 years, and they pick a new principal for the Sunday school. You even had your inauguration speech ready, and they pick this 18-year-old kid to be the principal of the Sunday school. The story of Iblis is going to repeat itself. Ana khayrun minhu? What do you mean him? I got the experience, man. I should have been the principal. That should have come to me. The story repeats itself. It's not just a story that happened a long time ago. You know? So this idea that as the more we serve, the more we're going to become humble. The extreme of humility was shudu. Then from there, because these two things still in the end, in essence, refer to salat. They refer to salat. What about in between the salawat? وَاعْبُدُوا رَبَّكُمْ, and enslave yourselves and worship your master. In other words, now that ruku' and sajda is done, that's not the only ibadah. You understand ibadah is more than that. Ibadah is an attitude. I'm a slave. I'm here to serve. Ibadah is how I walk, how I talk, how I think about myself, how I think about others. Your entire attitude gets transformed because of prayer. Prayer is actually a very big part of a Muslim's personality, not just our behavior. Prayer, we think of it as a behavior. But prayer actually, the daily salawat, they're supposed to have a really direct effect on how we think. Our attitudes, our thought process, our mentality. Between Dhuhr and Asr, my thoughts are going to be impacted by the Dhuhr prayer. Between Asr and Maghrib, my thoughts, my priorities are going to be impacted by the Asr prayer. It's the way a Muslim carries himself as a abd. That's shaped. That's what the salawat do. You know how pillars hold a building together? The salawat hold our day together. They hold our day together. And the between hours are dictated by what quality of salat we have. Now if the salat itself becomes empty, if the salat becomes just cardiovascular exercise, it just becomes a review session for Surah Al-Ikhlas and Surah Al-Kawthar, because you don't have time for anything more. You know? If it just becomes that, you're not going to see a change in your personality.
We talk about changing the world, we can't even change our day yet. We can't even change our day yet. When you change your day, then you can change your year. That means you can change your life. At the same time, you have to make substantial gains. In that same year, you have to make substantial gains in your Qur'an. I'm still in the area of knowledge. First area was worship, second area is knowledge, right? In this knowledge, you have to make some substantial gains in your Qur'an, which, let's just say you decided this year you're going to try to memorize, I don't know, Surah Al-Kahf, let's just say. So you set a goal. For this year, I'm going to memorize Surah Al-Kahf. That means I'm going to memorize it, I'm going to study its tafsir, I'm going to read it in translation, I'm going to try to understand every word in its vocabulary. If there's a lecture series on Surah Al-Kahf, if there's a tafsir available on Surah Al-Kahf, if there's an article and paper on Surah Al-Kahf, I'm going to take it and I'm going to consume it. This is knowledge. So the first thing was worship and the second thing was knowledge. And I hope you see how I tried to fuse those two things too. Even though I kept them separate, one is helping the other. So if your knowledge is not helping your worship, I don't know if it's real knowledge. I don't know if that's real knowledge in terms of deen. In terms of deen. Then there's the third area, and that is service. There's service. And that's where you have to figure out, you have to set some time, whether it's once a week, whether it's on the weekends. You don't need the screen anyway. If it's on the weekends, whether it's, once in a month, but you have to do some kind of service, meaning help people. Those of you that have parents that have teenage children, if you can encourage that sort of activity and even take part in it with your teenage kids, it's actually most important in teenage years to engage in the activity of helping other people. That's part of what builds maturity. Because the teenage years are when our youth in general, not just Muslim youth in general are the most self-absorbed. They're really just, their world is themselves and how they look and their friends and their Facebook status or how many friends they have or whatever. That stuff becomes really important to them at that age. They become very petty. And if you can pull them out of that mindset at that age and make them care about things beyond themselves, helping other people, seeing what suffering looks like and helping with that, Like recently, for example, with the disaster of the storm that hit and all those people in New Jersey and New York and all of this is not too far from you guys. If you did a weekend trip every weekend with the Red Cross or anybody else, and you went and just helped out people whose homes are destroyed or there's a tree in their driveway or something, and just went and helped and came back. If you just did that, I'm telling you, it will bring you closer to Allah like nothing else.